The elective conference of the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal gets underway in Durban today. Let's get more on this story. SABC News' Ayanda Mhlongo is there. A very good afternoon to Ayanda. Just describe what's happening there.
A very good afternoon, Tunzing, and good afternoon to our viewers at home. Yes, we are at the Durban Olive Convention Centre, where the ANC's 9th provincial conference here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal is expected to begin today. In fact, Tunzing, the conference was scheduled to start at 10 a.m. this morning, but there have been some delays as the delegates are still registering at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, which is not far away from where we are. But currently we've seen some leaders of the ANC that are here from the National Executive Committee leaders, those that are from the province of KwaZulu-Natal, who of course had been invited as guests to this conference. We've also seen now members of the outgoing Provincial Executive Committee. They've also made their way into the main hall, and other guests from the Alliance, the COSATU, as well as the South African Communist Party. We saw their leaders also earlier on making their way as they await, of course, this conference to get underway. We are now currently outside of the conference venue, where, as you see behind me, let me just step out of shot for my colleague Kwazimanzi to show these are members of the ANC, disgruntled members of the ANC who come from Ward 91, which falls under the area of Hammersdale, Mpumalanga, just west of Durban. Out here today demonstrating here at this conference, complaining that there was manipulation in their ward and vote rigging, and they're saying that the delegates who are going to be inside this conference representing this ward were not elected at a proper branch general meeting. They're saying that as members of that particular ward, they were not invited to that branch general meeting. So according to them, Ward 91 should in fact have been disqualified from participating in this conference. They're alleging that there are leaders within that region that may have been involved, or their claims that they're raising here of manipulation and gatekeeping, saying that the majority of this branch, who are these members that are out here, were not invited to that branch meeting. Of course, we've been trying to speak to the actual members here, and they're saying that they're not here to disrupt this conference, but they want to get the attention of the National Executive Committee members who are here, and the EPEC, or the Provincial Executive Committee members, to raise their concerns with the leadership of the party, to say that they feel that their representatives from Ward 91 should not be inside the conference. At the moment, they have not yet been addressed by any of the leaders. We did see earlier on one of their leaders who's representing this group speaking to the police. We saw one of the ANC NEC members just a few minutes ago that was speaking to one of their leaders. So at this point, discussions between their representatives and the NEC are going to continue. Now, when it comes to the ANC, and in the final briefing that was given yesterday by the outgoing secretary of the ANC, Mtumseni Ntuli, he had said that they had ensured as a province that all processes in the build-up to this conference were done correctly. In fact, he said that there were only 3 branches in the province whose objections or complaints were before the National Resolution Committee, and he felt that those 3 objections that had been raised by those particular branches would not in any way impact on this conference. And so here now you see these members of the ANC who are saying, in order for this conference to continue, continue, the conference must remove the 6 delegates who are representing Ward 91. The ANC had said that, in fact, they had delayed this conference. It was set to take place last week, but to accommodate the fact that some of the branch general meetings had to go to reruns after those objections, they then gave them some time for those BGMs to be able to have those reruns. And they're saying that they did this to ensure that there were no issues like this that would crop up, which could lead to protests, which could lead to disgruntled members of the ANC possibly even deciding to go the route or the legal route or take the party to court. We know that the previous conferences of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal landed in court. If we just go back a little bit, and Zinga, the 2015 elective conference, disgruntled branch members there, if you remember, approached the Pietermaritzburg High Court, and the court had then declared that the 2015 conference that was held in the province was eventually declared null and void. When the ANC then attempted to hold a second conference in 2018, that conference sat at Mpangeni. Again, the conference collapsed after members of the ANC who were not happy and cited that there were some irregularities in the processes leading up to conferences. That conference also collapsed after disgruntled branch members approached the courts. In the second 2018 conference that elected this now outgoing leadership, on the eve of that conference, there were again disgruntled members that went to the Pietermaritzburg High Court to lodge an objection. Their application, of course, was dismissed, allowing the conference that then elected this now outgoing leadership to continue. So these were all the issues that the ANC had said that they had tried to avert by ensuring that they delay the conference so that they sorted out all matters pertaining to the branch general meetings. But clearly, as we see here, these branch members are not happy with what was happening. In fact, we're told, Nzinga, that there are other branches as well that are making their way here, also saying that they feel that the processes leading up to this conference were not done in accordance to the ANC's rules, and therefore they also are on their way here as well to protest outside and want those members of those branches who have qualified to be at this conference, they want them to come out. So we'll just wait and see what the NEC has to say about this particular situation and whether or not it's going to impact this conference. But of course, I'm not alone. I'm with my colleagues Samgele Masego and Simpiwe Makanya, who are inside the main venue. Let's now go to Samgele just to find out what is happening and whether or not Samgele we're expected to start inside anytime soon.
The ANC is yet to begin their provincial conference here at the Olive Centre. As you can see, our colleague Ayanda Mhlongo is outside with those ANC members coming from the eThekwini region branches, in essence, complaining about the roadmap and their branch general meetings going to the delegate selection process for this 9th provincial conference of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But of course, I am not alone in this production. I am alongside my other colleague, Simpiwe Makanya, as Ayanda Mhlongo is currently outside with those delegates trickling inside. A reverse shot of this Olive Centre hall can show you a few of the delegates that have already entered this Olive Centre for the plenary of the 9th Provincial Conference. Makanya, conference yet to start. I wonder what's the delay?
Well, I don't know what to read into this, Samgele, but when we spoke to the provincial secretary, outgoing provincial secretary yesterday, Mdumseni Nduli, he said that the conference would start at 10 a.m. If it is delayed, it would start at 11 a.m. More than 2 hours later, still no word from the ANC in the province about what is delaying the process. In essence, I find it very particular and peculiar on the issue of the delay of the conference. Registration seemed to be running very smoothly and efficiently in the morning when we were there at People's Park. Earlier on, we tried to call Nomusa Dube, the treasurer, provincial treasurer of the province, who is in this vicinity of this Olive Centre venue. I am looking at her on my adjacent side right now, and she simply did not want to engage with us. Indeed, and you know that the stakes are very high, Samgele. I mean, the province of KwaZulu-Natal is the largest province of the ANC in the country. So in terms of the contestation that is expected to get underway, very going to be interesting to see where the delegates will be leaning towards. Of course, we know that essentially there are about two, opposing slates that are expected to vie for these positions. That's the slate that is led by the current chairperson of the ANC, Sihle Zikalala, as well as the one that is led by the Siboniso Duma, with the other few, new names if you look at the composition of the top five.
When you look at, to move away from the internal contestation, internal wranglings of the governing party, but when you look at service delivery issues pertaining to the province of KwaZulu-Natal, some districts are still without water. You go to the Uthugela district, there is no water. You go to certain parts of Umkhanyakude district municipality, still affected by no water. I know during the local government elections, you covered a story in the Umkhanyakude district municipality where the residents of that community were drinking the same water with cattle.
It's a very sad state of affairs, Samgele. I'll tell you why. Because when we spoke to the provincial secretary yesterday, he said this is expected to be the biggest political school of the ANC in the province. And he was anticipating, of course, that there would not be any delays in terms of the registration process, as well as the conference beginning its work in terms of the election of those top officials and other processes as well. But looking at where we are now, one is perhaps getting a sense that delegates are anticipating that this could very well be a long night for them. So they're not rushing to get into this venue, Samgele. But when you touch on the issue of the service delivery aspect of it, which is the crucial aspect really of it, Samgele, the ANC in the province lost about 18 municipalities in the previous local government elections. And the leaders of the province would say that they are working tirelessly to unite the ANC. They are saying that they are leaving the party 4 years later in a very different position than it was when they took over in 2018. But of course, the proof of that would be in the support that the party is getting from the ordinary South Africans on the ground. And many of those we know, Samgele, didn't turn out to vote for the ANC, which some would say is a vote of no confidence, really.
When you look at the issues of service delivery, you look at the issues of corruption, money laundering, fraud that is beleaguering the leaders of the African National Congress. One which comes to mind is the Durban waste tender project in the eThekwini municipality. The ANC during the era of Obert Mlaba ran somewhat of an efficient government, even though there were allegations of corruption through the Manasseh report, which was commissioned by Nomsa.
All right, and so we come out of the SABC team in KwaZulu-Natal covering that ANC conference. We will keep you updated throughout the course of the day on what's happening there.